Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Wood, and today we're going to be learning all about the stunning island of Mont Saint-Michel. But before we get into the facts, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell fact from fiction. Consider this. In the bay surrounding Mont Saint-Michel, the tide is said to come in so quickly and with such force that it moves at the speed of a galloping horse, making it impossible for a person to outrun it if they're caught out in the sand. This legendary warning has been told to travelers for centuries to keep them away from the dangerous coastline. But is this a terrifying reality of nature, or simply a tall tale meant to scare tourists? What do you think? We'll find out at the end of the episode. Now for your word of the day. Our word for today is islet. That's I-S-L-E-T. An islet is a very small island, typically one that is rocky and uninhabited, although in the case of Mont Saint-Michel, it's very much inhabited by a stunning abbey and a small village. The word islet dates back to Middle English and Middle French. They both used the word islet. It's the diminutive form of isle, essentially meaning a little island. Islets are fascinating because they often sit right at the edge of a larger landmass, serving as tiny outposts of nature or, in historical cases, perfect spots for building fortresses and sanctuaries. While some islets are just small patches of grass or rock in the middle of a lake or ocean, others, like Mont Saint-Michel, have been transformed by human hands over thousands of years. They're often defined by their isolation, which is exactly why the monks of the Middle Ages chose this specific islet for their spiritual retreat. Time for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about Mont Saint-Michel. Number 1. Mont Saint-Michel experiences the most dramatic tides in the entire continent of Europe. The bay surrounding the islet sees a massive difference between low tide and high tide, with the water level rising or falling by as much as about 50 feet or 15 meters. At low tide, the sea retreats, sometimes up to 15 kilometers away, and that creates a sort of land bridge. I mean, the island is basically just sitting out in the middle of a vast desert of sand. But when the tide returns, the water completely surrounds the mount, transforming it back into a true island in a matter of hours. For centuries, this natural barrier was the island's best defense. Any army trying to attack would have to time their movements perfectly or risk being swallowed by the sea. Today, a modern bridge allows visitors to reach the island safely, but the sight of the water rushing in to reclaim the land remains one of the most spectacular natural shows on Earth. Number 2. Mont Saint-Michel was once a feared prison known as the Bastille of the Sea. While we think of it today as a beautiful tourist destination and religious site, during the French Revolution and the reign of Napoleon I, the abbey was actually closed and turned into a prison. Because the island was surrounded by dangerous tides and treacherous quicksand, it was considered nearly impossible to escape from it, earning it a grim nickname. High-profile political prisoners and those who opposed the government were held in damp, cold cells within the ancient stone walls. The abbey transitioned from a place of prayer to a place of punishment for about 73 years until the prison was finally closed in 1863. During its time as a jail, the beautiful architecture suffered as rooms were divided into smaller cells, and the spiritual atmosphere was replaced by heavy iron bars. Thankfully, a massive restoration project began shortly after the prison closed, helping to return to its former Gothic glory that we see today. Number 3. Mont Saint-Michel actually has a sort of twin brother located across the English Channel in Cornwall. If you look at a map of England, you might find a place called St. Michael's Mount, which looks almost exactly like a smaller version of Mont Saint-Michel. This isn't a coincidence. After the Norman conquest of England in 1066, the monks from the French island were given the English island by William the Conqueror. They built a sister abbey there, sharing the same name and a very similar architectural style, perched on top of a rocky tidal island. Both islands are dedicated to the Archangel Michael, and both share the same unique tidal island geography where they're connected to the mainland only at low tide. They're not totally identical, though. The English version is smaller and has actually a castle that's used as a family home today. Number 4. The structure of the village of Mont Saint-Michel is actually kind of a snapshot of medieval social hierarchy. When you look at the island from a distance, the way the buildings are arranged isn't just for looks. It actually represents the feudal system of the Middle Ages. At the top is the abbey, representing God and the clergy, who were considered the most important part of society. Below that are grand halls and houses of nobility, and at the very bottom, near the entrance and the outer walls, there are shops and homes for the common people. This vertical arrangement means that as you walked up the steep, winding streets, you were literally moving up the social ladder of the time. The higher you lived, the closer you were to the heavens and more protected you were from the sea. And our fifth and final fun fact for today: despite being attacked many times, the island was never conquered during the 100 Years' War. For 30 years during the 1400s, the English army tried repeatedly to capture Mont Saint-Michel, but the fortress proved invincible. Even when the English built a fort on the nearby island of Tombelaine to launch attacks, the small French garrison was able to hold their ground. The combination of massive stone ramparts and the dangerous tides made it really hard for invaders to make inroads as they tried to conquer the island. And this led to Mont Saint-Michel becoming a powerful symbol of French national identity and resilience. To this day, you can still see two large English iron cannons sitting near the outer gate of the town. They were abandoned by the English army during the final unsuccessful siege of 1434. These cannons serve as a permanent reminder that even against one of the most powerful armies in the world, the island of the Archangel remained an unshakable stronghold that never fell. Now for some news you can use. If you ever plan to visit Mont Saint-Michel, here's a little pro tip for navigating the crowds. Most people enter through the main gate and stay on the Grande Rue, which is the narrow, shop-filled main street. But this street can get incredibly crowded, especially in the summer. Instead, as you look to enter the island, look for the stairs that lead up to the ramparts, the thick defensive walls of the city. Walking along the walls instead of the main street gives you much more space to breathe and offers breathtaking panoramic views of the entire bay that you just can't see from the street below. This path also leads you directly up to the abbey at the top, but allows you to avoid the busiest tourist areas. Plus, you'll get to feel like a medieval guard patrolling the fortress, which is a much more epic way to experience the history of the island. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. At the beginning of the episode, I asked, does the tide at Mont Saint-Michel really rush in at the speed of a galloping horse? Well, that's a fallacy. While the tide at Mont Saint-Michel is incredibly dangerous and moves much faster than almost any other beach in the world, it doesn't actually reach the speed of a horse. A galloping horse can run at an average of 25 to 30 miles an hour, that's 40 to 48 kilometers an hour, whereas the tide usually advances at a speed of about 3.7 miles per hour, or 6 kilometers an hour. That's roughly the speed of a very brisk walk or light jog. But the myth exists for a good reason. Because the sand in the bay is so flat, the water doesn't just crawl up a slope, it spreads out across the flats almost instantly. If you're miles away from the shore and the tide turns, 3.7 miles an hour is plenty fast to trap you, especially if you get stuck in the bay's famous quicksand. So while the speed of a galloping horse might be an exaggeration, the danger is very real. If you want to explore the bay safely, always do it with a professional guide. Now, I hope you enjoyed learning a bit about Mont Saint-Michel with me today, and be sure to tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.